Monti Amundson.
Yes.
You are being inducted into the blues, rock, guitarist, vocalist, what else category?
Songwriter, I hope.
Songwriter, definitely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm a tortured individual.
As well a musician should be, I guess. Maybe that's partially why some turn to music.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
From an early age.
Yeah, from an early age. What is, you happen to be in town right now, congratulations, right? But you haven't been a Portlander, I mean, you've been a globalist for such a long time, but how does it feel to be inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame?
Well, it was just taken aback. It was a fantastic surprise. And I mean, you can't hope for something like that, but when I got the call from Terry, I just had a little suspicion because I hadn't heard from him for a while, and it feels pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, as well it should for all your accomplishments. You broke out of Eugene in the 80s, and what wasn't going on in the 80s anywhere, really? It just seemed like a crazy time for music, a hot time for the music world. And you established yourself as a guitar slinger.
There was a couple of us
What does that mean? Give me the definition of a guitar slinger.
Well, you're loud, for starters. There's no talking while we're playing. That's changed a little bit, but just recognized, I guess, as a guy who can play that pentatonic for a couple hours,
That pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's back up to what brought you into the world of guitars and into the world of rock itself.
Yeah. Well, the pivotal moment in my life for just music in general and guitar in particular was my parents took me to see B.B. King on my 13th birthday. And I never made the distinction. My favorite guitar player has and always will be Jimi Hendrix. But I didn't necessarily see the difference between the way, they're both playing blues to me. One guy is just playing supersonic. And but anyway, I saw B.B. King on my 13th birthday, and I've already been playing guitar for a while. But
you had discovered it had entered your world.
Yeah, I was playing from about 10, and but I heard Purple Haze on the radio, and I said, whatever that is, that's what I want to do, and then B.B. King, seeing B.B. King was, it went further than the guitar. It was I want to be that guy, the guy that leads the band, that sings the songs, and so. That was, he was so awesome. It was in the height of his powers. He was for 20 years, of course, but it would have been 1971. So Thrill Is Gone is just out for a little while, and I had a chance to tell him my little story too, that later.
Isn't that amazing to be able to share that with one of your heroes?
Yeah, and of course, nicest guy you could ever hope to meet, but. I'm sure he's heard that story a few times,
As I recall, I've only met him once, but I recall him being very generous and just a real gent of a human being. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. A guitar slinger. I really like that. What kind of guitar do you favor for your style?
Stratocaster. That goes back to Jimi Hendrix. They're not an easy guitar to play.
What is it? What's the difficulty?
They're just they're kind of wonky sounding if you don't really dig in. Not everybody can make a Strat sound good, and I know that because in the beginning I didn't sound very good. If you play a Les Paul, this has a flat fingerboard, and it's just super easy to play. And the Strat has a slight radius to it, and just for whatever reason, it's a difficult guitar. But it's you have to work it, and I find it pleasurable to make it sound good.
To dig in.
You have to dig in, yeah.
Not just tinkly guitar playing.
Yeah, and plus, Jimmy Vaughn one time said that. That if you own a white Stratocaster, you're already halfway famous, and that's Jimi Hendrix, of course, because he played the white Strat a lot, and that was my first guitar too. It was a white Strat. So
I can really visualize the digging in I don't play, you know, I have a harmony student guitar. That's about as far as I got. But, you know, I can just visualize that you would be the guy. I've seen you play.
Well, Stevie Ray Vaughan is a good example of a guy who really digged in, you know, and he kind of made the Strat popular again.
Can you play the guitar behind your back like Stevie?
Have
you ever tried it?
We used to do it this way, you know, but he had the thing where he turned it around and did it this way. I never got that down. And by the time that he was doing it, I said, well, now he's doing it, so, you know.
The Blue Binos.
Yeah.
Was a big deal around Portland up until 1992.
Yeah.
Have guitar will travel, as your website says.
Yeah.
And do you have a card that says that?
Not anymore.
But you used to, like Paladin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, you ought to cover that song. Paladin, Paladin.
Yeah.
Where do you roam? And you roam all over the place.
Well, we went to Europe in 1991. Just got a phone call from a promoter in Belgium. And I thought it was Corey, our drummer, because he does accents really good. And I hung up on him. And but the guy called right back, and then I went, okay, well, this is a real phone call. So he hired us to do just one show, and we tried to put something else, a little tour together, but we didn't really have any connections at the time. But we went over and did this show in 1991.
In Belgium?
In Belgium. It was the Hansama Blues Festival. And it was just crazy. It was just a gigantic party, and people loved us and what we were doing. And
where in Belgium was this?
Hansama is actually, I think that's the place. It's also the name of the festival. They've been doing it for years. And it's not so far from Brussels, but so from this one gig, I must have gotten like 75 or 80 business cards from small record companies and booking agents.
They loved Americans. They love Americans in Belgium.
Well, in Holland and Belgium and Germany, it's you know, they know more. They can tell you who wrote what songs and who played the guitar on them, what tracks, and they really love American stuff. Yeah.
Well, apparently you like Amsterdam because
you've
had your feet both stateside.
Yeah.
And in Amsterdam for so many years. How did that happen?
The booking agency that I signed on to through the record company, they're called Tornado. They're still there. They were based in Amsterdam, and they were top-notch booking agency. And when I signed on to those guys, I got really good gigs, and I got on television shows. You know,
throughout Europe.
Yeah. Mostly in Holland and Belgium, but you know, after the first couple of years that I was over there, I played in 13 countries. You know, so I got around pretty good.
So those were really your homes. Was here and in Amsterdam, and then are you still a Nashville cat?
Oh yeah.
How did that happen? Because a lot of people have been moving there.
Yeah.
I mean, Nashville has never lost its charm, if you will.
Well, there's just fantastic players there. And the music business has gotten a little bit tough. Making money playing music is
generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's still the highest level artists. They do pretty good, but it used to be more of a mid level, and like what I used to have over there, where you can make pretty good money in Europe. But just in general, there's not a lot of guarantees anymore. A lot of times you're playing just for the door, or in the case of Nashville, some places you play for just the tips. So you don't go to Nashville because you think you're going to make money, but if you want to go where the really good players are. And it reminded me a lot of, I'd been there a couple times before, but after we moved there, my wife and I, it reminded me a lot of Portland. It's got all the good and bad things that Portland's got going. It's growing really fast. All the natives hate it that it's growing so fast. The traffic is awful.
Sounds just like Portland.
Just like Portland. And, you know, just as many coffee shops and tattoo parlors, and it's just really got the same vibe. But the musicians there, the really good players, they'll be studio guys, and they may have 2 or 3 people that they go on national tours with. But these guys play all the time. And so when they're not on tour or they're not in the studio, you can go see them in a club that's like 100-seater and see the the baddest Nashville cats, and they're right there. You're sitting right there. You can try to steal their licks if you can.
You know, it sounds like you're still learning after all these years.
Oh my God, that's the whole, never stop that. That's what keeps it interesting for sure.
If you were to describe how you play, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, I've seen you play and I know what you do, but if you were telling somebody beyond being a guitar slinger.
Swagger. That's what that is.
Yeah. But if you were to say, if you like this, then you'll like me, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't want you to compare yourself necessarily to somebody, but you have a very specific style.
Sure. You know, there's probably 4 or 5 guitar players. I mean, when you're younger, you listen to all kinds of music. Hopefully, you want to listen to all kinds of music, but at some point in time, you kind of settle in on the guys that do it for you the most, you know. And my guys were Jimi Hendrix, and I don't do Jimi Hendrix songs, but just the way he, you know, it's all about, and that's why I say blues with, you know, even Jimi Hendrix, is that it's a lot more about that there's passion in what they're doing, and you know, it doesn't matter maybe even that someone makes a little mistake or you know, that it's not perfect. It's that there's passion in it. If there's no passion in it, to me, I don't even know what would be the point in playing any musical instrument if there wasn't passion in it, you know. And that doesn't mean you have to, every moment it has to, you know, be gut-wrenching or something, but...
Yeah, you can have those moments of stillness.
Yeah,
those are as
sure.
important, the not playing notes is as important as the played notes.
Absolutely. And then, in fact, that's what I love about the blues, is that maybe some of the younger players are playing a lot of notes. I like to play fast, you know, it's fun, but you know, I had a guitar teacher when I was young to kind of get me on track of how to phrase. He said, do you know who George Benson is? And I said, of course. And he goes, you know the thing that he does where he plays and sings at the same time? He's singing the notes that he's playing. I go, yeah. And he goes, I want you to do that for the next month. I don't want you to play a solo without singing what you're playing. And right away I got what he was trying to convey. And that's if you're singing, you have to take a breath, you know. If you're having a conversation, you know, there's pauses, you know. And it's never been super impressive to me, the guys that just go from down here to up here and then back down and then back up. But
those are tricks, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're, you know, I used to say my grandmother typed 100 words a minute in a 10-minute timed writing with no mistakes, but it's not very soulful, you know. So it's about phrasing and you know, if you think in your mind, if you don't have to sing it out loud, but if you think in your mind, if you're mindful of the actual notes that you're playing, I know that sounds like that should, you know, everybody should do that, but a lot of guys are just playing, you know, scales and they're not digging into the, you know, am I saying something here? And hopefully, if there's something that I do well, I hope I'm saying something when I play guitar.
Well, that Strat certainly offers you the challenge. It keeps you challenged. It sounds like, you know,
Yeah.
that you can't just do it like
It's
superficially.
not an easy guitar to get along with. It wins sometimes.
And sometimes you do.
Oh, I hope mostly.
Yeah.
You know.
Is you know, this instrument is second nature to you.
Yeah.
It just seems like you were born to do it. Is there a challenge or something that you think, I want to figure out how to do this? Anything that's come up recently for you?
In Nashville, you know, I knew, you know, before moving there that it is still mostly country. I mean, they have everything, have every kind of music you could hope to hear. But I was a bit surprised by how much I like country music when it's done by the real guys, and their playing is amazing. And
Name a real guy.
oh my God, there's so many. There's a guy, Guthrie Trapp. He's a young guy. I don't even know if he's 40 yet, but he's country, he plays blues. Well, these guys play everything.
Country rock, maybe, huh?
No, but real. When he's playing country, he's playing. He can do what they call chicken picking, which is really. When you see it in person, you just go, "Oh my!"
You want to learn that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next time we meet, I want to hear some of that.
I hope it rubs off on me.
Yeah. Monty, great speaking with you.
Thank
Congratulations.
You very much.